Welcome to planet Earth. She's got the toughest streets around, and if you're not careful, that mean old Missy won't hesitate to wash out her gutters with your blood and decorate the sidewalks with your teeth. It's a tough world for the good and innocent, with the looming shadow of crime lurking around every corner, just waiting to prey on those who are unable to defend themselves. If you don't have the tools to survive, it'll chew you up and spit you out like a wad of stale chewing gum. That's why we need a hero, a dark defender, a cloak in the night. We need the Specter. New Delhi, India. A woman walks home from her late-night job. She's exhausted. She can feel the bone-deep ache of 14 hours on a factory line, running herself ragged to support her 3 kids back home. She can barely stand. Can you really blame her for wanting to take the shortcut down that dark alley, knowing it'll shave 15 minutes off her trip? She ducks in, clutching her purse tight and keeping her head down, but it won't do any good. A predator has been lying in wait. He emerges from the darkness, wielding a huge knife, and grabs her by the shoulder. He's a few heads taller than her, with arms thicker than her neck. He tells her to hand over the money she'd spent all month working for, or he'd turn her kids into orphans. His knife had tasted blood before, and he'd have no problem killing again. With tears streaking down her face, knowing it's futile to resist, she reaches out and passes him the money. The bandit snatches it from her trembling hand and snickers, candy from a baby. He's ready to turn around and make a run with tonight's takings when he feels an odd chill drift into the alley. A soft whoosh. He turns and sees a figure standing and watching him. He's tall and well-built, with a long black coat and a wide-brimmed hat. He was darker than the dark. Light seemed to disappear into him, a black shape against the background. It's him, the man that all criminals know and fear all over the world, even if they've never met him. The intrusive thought, the moment of creeping doubt that slithers into their minds, the second they even contemplate breaking the law. The bad guy's boogeyman. The Specter. Halt, evildoer! The Specter commands. You'll return this fine lady's money, or you'll suffer the consequences. The bandit feels a tremor of fear quiver through him, but he won't back down. Not yet. He charges the Specter with this blade, slashing like a madman, but not a single hit lands. The Specter weaves perfectly away from every strike and effortlessly disarms the bandit with a perfectly placed whack to the wrist. The knife clatters to the ground. He discombobulates the bandit with an open palm strike to either side of his head, then knocks him out with a laser-focused headbutt. He crumples to the ground unconscious, and the Specter breathes a sigh. Another battle won. This whole time, the woman has been watching frozen in awe. The Specter picks up her stolen money and hands it back to her with a gentlemanly doff of his wide-brimmed hat. He really is just darkness underneath, unseeable, unknowable, a living shadow. She thanks him, and he assures her that it's all in a day's work for a crime fighter like him. After all, somebody needs to do it. And in a flash of smoke, he's gone. The woman makes it home safely that night. London, England. A man lays beaten and bloody on the ground. 3 assailants surround him, circling like hungry wolves. One wields a long lead pipe, still slick with the man's blood. Another a switchblade that he keeps clicking in and out of the handle. And the third carries a handgun, the same handgun he's used to take 2 lives before. The wounded man on the ground, with bruises, cuts, a broken ankle, a broken wrist, 4 broken ribs, and 3 missing teeth, is desperate and afraid. He's here because he was forced into a corner. He needed to borrow money from a dangerous man tucked away in a dingy building in London's East End, the city's organized crime epicenter. The money he'd borrow came with predatory interest that he couldn't pay back. Now he's paying the difference in blood to that same loan shark's violent goons. The man with the gun in a thick Cockney accent tells him that this is why he shouldn't have messed around with Mr. Ford. Now he's going to be an example for anyone else stupid enough to think they can stiff the big man on a payment and live to tell the tale. He nods to the man with the pipe to finish the job. The beaten and bloodied man on the ground closes his eyes as the goon steps closer, lifting up the red-stained pipe and preparing to finally cave his pitiful head in with it. In the dark, he hears the whoosh of the pipe's downswing, and the breeze hits his bruised cheek, but the pipe never connects. Instead, there's a chorus of gasps. The man on the ground opens his eyes to get a better look at what on earth has happened. A tall, dark man in a long black coat and a wide-brimmed hat is standing over him, holding the lead pipe that he just easily snatched from the hands of its previous user. The goons are all stepping back. The gunman raises his pistol, the other his knife. All of them look afraid. The man on the ground doesn't know the stranger who just saved his life, but in his presence, he feels something wash over him that he hasn't felt in a long while. Safety. It's him. It's
the Specter. You wretched villains, do you know better than to pick on the weak, a bunch of tough guys like you? How about fighting someone your own size?
In a blind panic, the gunman raises his pistol and fires. The Specter moves like smoke in the wind. He dodges the bullet and tosses the lead pipe. It sails through the air and hits the gunman's skull with an almighty crack. He collapses, dropping his weapon. The other two goons bum-rush him, but it doesn't serve them any better. One slashes, the other punches. With a few skillful fluid movements, he guides one goon's knife-wielding hand into the other's shoulder, then disables both with a pair of simultaneous chops to the throat, like that Jackie Chan himself would be proud of. All three goons are laid out on the ground, either writhing and gasping or knocked out cold.
The Specter
straightens his coat and hat with practiced finesse and returns to the man laying on the ground. After checking that he was still alive and conscious, he passed the man a wad of cash and a phone, telling him to call an ambulance and get his wounds treated. None of those men would ever bother him again, and if they or any others dared to, then they could expect to see the dark figure of
the Specter
appearing behind them in their bathroom mirror. After all, someone needs to be there to fight crime, even when nobody else will. New York City, USA. Things are going sideways at a major bank downtown. A group of well-armed, highly organized robbers has broken in. They've taken at least 50 hostages throughout the building and have informed the police blockade outside that unless their demands are met and they're given free passage out of the building, they'll start executing people left and right. And given the ruthless organization of this particular criminal crew, it seems more than likely that they'll put their blood money where their mouth is. Police squad cars form a horseshoe blockade around the building outside, armed with handguns, shotguns, and assault rifles. Police snipers are finding their ideal perches in the surrounding skyscrapers. SWAT is on the way and a police helicopter circles above. However, even if everything goes right, the higher-ups know that some fatalities are basically inevitable. Crews of hardcore career criminals like this wouldn't go down without a fight. One way or another, some lives would be taken today. Another transmission is delivered from the inside after that. The robbers know that time isn't on their side, so they're flipping the script. 5 minutes exactly. If their demands aren't met by then, blood would be staining the bank's immaculate marble floor. Tick-tock. The negotiators on the front line are in a cold sweat.
5 minutes? No, that isn't enough time! We can't mobilize, it'll be a massacre in there!
How could 10 greedy maniacs with assault rifles pull the rug out from under them all like this? Panicked thoughts swim through the head of a sergeant heading the blockade. He can't concede. His superiors would never allow it. Does he wait 5 minutes and see what happens? Or authorize his officers to breach the front doors, try to reclaim the bank, and potentially create one of the worst bank robbery bloodbaths in New York City history? Damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. And every second, the time to decide runs out. That's when he hears a soft whoosh behind him. Paranoid enough to jump at shadows, the sergeant turns reaching for his gun and sees what seems to be a dapper shadow standing right behind him. A tall man with a long black coat and a wide-brimmed hat. No face, just darkness itself under the shade of the brim. The stranger places a calm hand on his shoulder, and suddenly a sense of trust like he hasn't felt in years just sets in. Somehow deep in his marrow, he knows that this man is here to help.
Rest assured, Sergeant, everything is under control now. For I, the Specter, have arrived to save the day. How many criminals are inside?
The sergeant murmurs, 10 in all.
The Specter nods. Worry not, Sergeant. Nobody will die today.
And with that, like the ghost that is his very namesake,
the Specter
is gone. Inside the bank, the leader of the robbers checks his watch. 2 minutes, and still no word from the cops outside. He's starting to lose his patience. A few unfortunate bank tellers and customers crouch around him, their hands behind their heads. 5 of his men are out here with him, armed and keeping the situation under control. The other 4 have cracked the security on the vault, and they're hauling out money by the bagful. And still silence from the cops. He sneers, and the thought crosses his mind that perhaps if he takes out a hostage or 2 now, the mooks out there might actually take his threats seriously. That thought amuses him.
Yeah, that'll show them. They'll finally know who they're dealing with here.
The leader shoulders his assault rifle and draws a bead on the hostages sitting closest to him. Even his men are shocked by the suddenness of it all, but they know better than to second-guess their boss at a time like this. He was always a little trigger-happy. The hostage, an older gentleman who'd only come into the bank to check his balance because he hadn't figured out how to do it online just yet, sees the gun and winces. He survived NAM, and this was how he was going to go. Gunned down on a Wednesday afternoon by some creep for chump change. What a world. The leader's finger curls around the trigger, but before he can complete a squeeze, an expertly aimed fist collides with the back of his head, knocking him unconscious in a single strike. The leader collapses, his rifle sliding across the ground.
The Specter
stands where he stood, straightening his coat and blowing dandruff off of his knuckles.
Are you fellas ready to dance?
He growls. He glides through them, moving with the grace of a prima ballerina and hitting with the force of a freight train. The goons are down before any of them can fire a single shot. With the help of some quick-thinking bank tellers,
the Specter
closes the vault door from the outside, trapping the remaining 4 robbers inside. Textbook crime fighting once more. The bank customers and employees, weeping with joy and relief, thank
the Specter
for saving their lives. He shakes his hand and assures them it was nothing, just doing what he could, as any concerned citizen should. He would have left after that, were it not for one little problem. The NYPD has a number of employees at different levels of their sprawling structure that are actually deeply embedded undercover agents of the SCP Foundation. And this isn't a comic book. There's a word for when a mysterious man made from darkness appears from nowhere and effortlessly takes down 10 heavily armed, highly trained combatants by himself. And that word was anomalous. Knowing what this mysterious combatant was capable of, the Foundation sends some of their best mobile task force operatives to apprehend him, under the guise of just being standard SWAT team members sent in to get the situation back under control in the aftermath of the robbery. However, much to their extreme surprise, the Specter puts up absolutely no resistance to them. He understands that the men here to apprehend him are servants of law and order, and would not defy their will, but he pleads with them to reconsider.
You don't understand, sirs. You're making a huge mistake, he says, distraught. I'm here to help. I'm the Specter, defender of the innocent, scourge of the evildoer. You can't lock me away. You can't. The people need me.
As tragic as it is to see a genuinely benevolent anomaly beg for his freedom, the Mobile Task Force's hearts have long since hardened to this kind of thing. He wouldn't be the first sapient humanoid anomaly to speedrun all 7 stages of grief on their knees in front of them, and he probably wouldn't be the last. Foundation protocol is to tag and bag either way, even if they just use their anomalous abilities to thwart a bank robbery.
The Specter
is hauled back to the nearest Foundation containment site and held in a holding cell while researchers prepare to conduct initial tests and questioning. Everything seems so run-of-the-mill. Little do they notice, something extremely strange is starting to happen to New York City beyond the containment chamber's walls. They're about to learn the true devastating consequences of keeping a pure force of good like
the Specter
locked up. Like a switch has been flipped, nearby police suddenly become oddly listless. Instead of working, they just chat with each other and random citizens about the weather. Some watch SCP Explained on their phone while active robberies are happening. A man is mugged right in front of a squad car and the cop inside just listens to his Van Halen CDs at max volume. In actual precincts, the on-duty cops start to wonder why on earth they're actually here. In this building, all together, listening to phone calls from weirdly panicked people and typing up reports on stuff? It all just seems oddly confusing. They decide to go outside and watch clouds or go home and play video games. It doesn't make any sense that they're just standing around in here doing nothing for no reason. Across the city, strange incidents start to occur. People who so much as knock into each other while walking on the crowded New York streets begin to brawl with one another on the ground, while nobody around them even really acknowledges that they're doing it, let alone tries to break them up. Nearby, cars crash at the intersection, and rather than getting out to exchange insurance information, the irate drivers draw guns and start to duel like bit characters in an old cowboy movie. Nobody really seems to mind. As if noticing a change in the wind, organized crime rackets decide that secrecy isn't the way to go anymore. Mob enforcers rob stores and shake down random people in the streets, taking wallets, watches, phones, and jewelry. Criminals break into people's homes and start ransacking the place, stealing everything from flat-screen TVs to priceless family heirlooms, while their owners sit on the couch, seemingly unable to even comprehend that something is going wrong here. But everything is still about to get a whole lot worse. The city breaks into riots and looting, people battling in the streets. News helicopters circle above, reporting the chaos unfolding below them. But they do so with an odd kind of detached calm, not really comprehending the full scope of what's happening or why. Just that a whole lot more is on fire now than it was before. How strange. This is the moment when the SCP Foundation realizes the meaning of the Specter's pleading. He really was being entirely unselfish, because you see, the Specter isn't just an extremely devoted crime fighter. He's the very personification of the concept of fighting crime. He can't ever be locked up or contained, because if you do, then the very concept of resisting crime fades from the human consciousness. Order ceases to be, and chaos reigns. That's why the Specter, also known as SCP-4494, is classified as Archon, meaning that he can't be contained, because the danger of containing him would be far greater than the danger of letting him roam around and do his thing unhindered. He maintains an amicable relationship with the SCP Foundation after everything that happened, willing to swoop in and help their agents when they're in a bind, and need a little hand from a true hero. And when he's not fighting crime, he relaxes in the Specter Cave by watching TV and playing video games. No, we're not making that up. Unsurprisingly, his favorite video games are the ones where you get to play as superheroes, though he will occasionally indulge in some Grand Theft Auto 5. Just don't expect him to break any traffic laws while he's playing. Thank you very much. So if ever you feel afraid, or if the dark forces that are all too human in this world are marshaling against you, know this: you don't fight alone. There's a man in the shadows, ready to come to your aid. He's a warrior for justice. He's a defender of the innocent. But most of all, he is the Specter. Now go check out SCP-999 Tickle Monster versus the most evil SCPs, and SCP-999 and the most wholesome SCPs for more anomalies that really just want to make the world a better place.